Welcome back, folks. My name is Brad, and we are not at Piney Grove today. We are at my hunting property. And in my last video, I got a really nice buck, and I thought that was my last time I would be out here on the property, at least in any sort of hunting situation. But it's Monday, Martin Luther King Day. That's usually a great day to be deer hunting in Northwest Florida. The rut's just kicking off for some people. It's peak rut for some other properties, but it's just a really good weekend to hunt. And one of my lease mates, one of my good friends I've known for 20 years, we were in the Air Force together. He was in one of my other videos where we were looking for his doe. He made a great shot on a doe at 150 yards. But this morning he sent a text and showed some blood on the ground, and he had shot a doe and he couldn't find it. But he was able to get a hold of a dog tracker, and he had to wait. The dog was tracking a different deer in another part of Northwest Florida, so we had to wait about 2 hours away. The dog and his handler are on its way and will be here any minute, but I'm going to walk into the condo that he shot the deer from and show you his view and kind of talk you through the hunt. But this is his view. He has a golfing putting green type of plot there to his north. And then here to his south, he has another plot. Now, they've recently logged the area so he can see a lot farther than he used to be able to. But you can see a feeder in there in the background. I'll zoom in. But he had several deer at that feeder, and he took the shot. It's about a 125-yard shot. And the deer went into those younger pines to the right. And he was able to track it for a while, but he feels like he didn't exactly get the double lung that he wanted. So he tracked the deer through the woods. He found different areas of where the deer had stopped and there was some blood. But he just lost a good sign, and he didn't want to mess up the woods, so he's waiting for us to arrive. But then he found the dog tracker, and then you really don't want to mess up the woods for the dog tracker to arrive. You want the deer to just go bed down and die peacefully. You don't want to push it. So he backed out of the woods, and we've been staying out of it for several hours. And a bunch of buzzards. And I am just on the road outside of where we think the deer is. A lot of this area is hunting area, you know, thousands and thousands of acres of planted pines. So you always see buzzards. When you see 4 or 5 or 6 circling, that could mean something or it could mean nothing. It's when they get lower, like tree level, and they actually start like landing in the tree, that you might want to investigate that area. Just interesting that we just had 6 buzzards circling over where we think this doe is. It's 51 degrees, so there's no problem with the meat. The deer was shot probably at 6:30, maybe 7 a.m., so it's 5 hours later. But it's been cool, so there's no problem. This meat will be 100% salvageable once we find this animal. Here comes the shooter, and there come the dogs. I'm gonna have.
So what kind of dog is this?
So that's a Dogo Argentino.
A Dogo Argentino.
Yeah, that's the.
And how old is he?
7 months.
Oh my goodness.
Big old puppy.
Dude, what do you? Oh my gosh! If you weren't so lovable, I'd be terrified.
Do you have a name?
Yeah, his name is AK.
Hi, AK.
AK.
Yeah.
He always knows.
So.
Whoa, and both of us are dog lovers, so.
Yeah. So we got.
You got
I got
old...
another Dogo in there, a female.
All right, folks, we got the dog tracker here. I'm Brad. That's my friend Aaron in the camo, and we got Lance back here with the dogs, and he's got a bunch of dogs, and he's going to explain exactly how all this works. We've had a deer down in the woods for about 5 hours. There should be plenty of scent, but we're not experts at dog tracking, so we're going to let Lance explain this. All right, Lance, just real quick, what do we got here? How does this work?
So we got a couple older dogs with us that are seasoned professionals, and some that are young and haven't done anything. But the idea is the dogs are trained to smell blood and a pheromone that a wounded deer gives off. It's like comes from the interdigit gland between their toes that's specific to a wounded deer.
Okay.
And that's what most of the dogs are trained on heavily. So that's what we we like a lot of. Blood is great. We like a lot of blood too. If there's plenty of that going on, these dogs are they're gonna go right to them. If it's dead, they're just gonna be there.
Okay, will they alert when it's dead, or will they just be quiet?
Odds are the ones I had today won't. Some do.
Okay.
They'll just be there. They'll stop. I got a Garmin that we're gonna be tracking them on, so we're gonna know everywhere they're at, and I have control over them with the Garmin. I can get them back to me anytime I want. If it's alive, they're either gonna bay it, surround it, bark, 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 hold it till we get there. We'll dispatch it when we get there.
Okay.
Or they'll catch it.
Okay.
It's just according to how big, tough, and alive it is.
Right.
But either way, the idea is we're gonna stay close to the dogs and be there when they get there.
All right.
That's the plan. So we can dispatch the animal.
So you came down from northern Florida this morning. You were tracking. Real quick, how did that track go?
That deer was most likely shot in a lower leg. We bayed it twice, and it broke and ran. And the way the dogs acted, you could tell it wasn't mortally wounded.
Okay.
So they'll probably see that deer again on camera or whatever. So instead of just running it around and wasting the dogs and wasting the deer, just let that one go. Most likely a low leg shot. I'm calling that.
Right.
Won't know until we get a picture of him.
There's plenty of three-legged deer out there that are doing just fine, right?
They can move on without all their wheels. So.
All right, you want to introduce this big dog here?
That's AK. He's new. I just got him a couple days ago. He's only 7 months old. So he's a trainer. Me and my partner are probably the only people in the country that have ever really messed with them for deer like we do. That one there I brought in, although he's similar to the other bloodlines we have. Some of the other ones are ones we raised from puppies.
So I don't know if you're getting a perspective of this, but we're all around the 200-pound mark, adult men, and that dog literally looks as big as Aaron does right there. So
I haven't weighed him yet.
The head on that dog is massive. It's no wonder he can smell, because his nose is bigger than my head. He's gentle. I know. He's so lovable. And we've got some other dogs. I see 4 noses back here.
Yeah. Two labs, another Dogo, and a bloodhound.
All right, we got...
And the reason we carry so many, well, today we got trainers, puppies, but typically we're going to carry 2 to 3 anyway, where a lot of people only use 1, because some of them work better in different conditions. The bloodhound, you know, it's more track-to-track style, but the lab can smell it more in the air, and it really depends on how the weather is, how the deer went.
He's going to go find it real quick.
Yeah. So the first thing to do is find the shot site. So how far are we from the shot site?
We'll walk in the woods about 100 yards here.
Okay.
We'll hit a plot.
Okay.
And we'll go. I'll show you right there. And I mean, I've got tape where I track, but we'll start the dogs.
Yeah.
Right where I shot it. And
we always start at the beginning.
Yep. So I don't know how it'll be about 100 yards down that way, and then maybe another 100 back.
That's cool. I found one that was like 15 feet off the road the other day. The guy been all over it. Was stuck in the bush. Come on, come on, AK! AK! Come on! Yeah, that puppy didn't jump out either. Let me grab the puppy out of there.
All right, Aaron. You want to talk about your hunt this morning, or not right now?
Not yet.
Okay. Here, but you saw earlier that the shot was taken at the deer by this feeder up here, and Aaron's gonna take, and we're gonna take Lance to the spot of the shot and see what happens.
Come on, BB!
The dogs are sniffing where the shot was taken. You can see the lab jumping right on the shot. And then the bloodhound's already gone into the woods. But the trainer dog's back here. I think this dog's eating corn, Aaron.
Yeah. What they're doing is they're working out all the mother deer and all this. They're trying to hone in. They'll figure it out. Let's give time.
This is so interesting.
Yeah.
So they didn't jump right on the blood right away. I see they went that way a little bit.
Because they smell different sometimes. The wind carrying that scent, so they can smell that blood.
I see. I see.
We're downwind of it right now, you know.
Do we just let them do their thing?
Yeah, we let them do their thing for a second.
Okay.
And if they, get too far ahead, we're going to go after them.
I see them back there at Aaron's tape about 50 yards in the woods. He's coming back towards us now. So there's just a ton of deer in this area. This is a feeder, so there's all sorts of deer scent here. So they're trying to figure out, you know, is it the one that got shot or is it other deer? So that's why you see the dogs kind of milling around out here, just sniffing the ground until they actually get on the scent of the one we're after. So you watch your GPS to see if they stop moving? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, you can see.
Okay.
If you want to look at that, you can see them going there, and they're at 86.9 yards, 98 yards.
The bloodhound.
Okay, I see it.
So you kind of get an idea of where what they're doing, where they're going. I try to give them a little space at first, and then we're going to start following them in a minute.
Awesome.
That dog right there is on it.
Which one?
Minnie. It says Minnie.
Yeah.
That one's there straight. The
white
yellow,
one?
yeah, the yellow is the bloodhound. That's the lab. The lab's
white
going to
one's
move
on
it a little bit faster. The bloodhound's going to sort it out a little bit slower.
Crazy. Yeah, I think
They came around? Circle?
We went back that way, so.
the deer did.
Yeah.
So we were going to go this way, which is where the blood trail was. They thought maybe it circled, but now we're going back this way, following the GPS tracker.
So that was once where it just stopped and just led there.
They circled back. The lab circled back. All right, so when Aaron was tracking this deer, he put orange marking tape you'll see over my shoulder. He put that everywhere where he would find any sort of sign. So this right there is the last sign that he found, and he kept tracking and he couldn't find any more. And that's when he decided to call us and then eventually call the dogs. They're just sitting there letting the dogs do what dogs do. Lance showed us some awesome video of them capturing a live buck, and the dog actually held the buck in place while they came up and dispatched it. Incredible animals. So an update, those short pines back there would be about 100 and some yards from the shot site. We've circled through those short pines, come through all this recent clear cut, and this is just nasty to walk through. It's all wet. Pine stumps, knocked over trees, and the dogs are up ahead with Lance. And I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I wouldn't have thought that deer would have went this far. Okay, we're headed back to where the last blood was. We've been out in this thick stuff and they just don't seem like they're on a strong trail. There's a lot of deer in this area, but still they have a good enough nose to distinguish between the hurt deer and, you know, the live deer. Okay, we're headed back in the woods here. That's where we last found blood. Just kind of regroup and see if we can reestablish this trail. So where we're at is we actually found, well, for lack of a better term, poop. So it was obviously hit in the back. That could have been the exit rather than the entry. But we found some blood that's further from the last blood, and we found some poop. And we're following the poop. Dogs are barking. I don't know what they're barking at. I was over here looking for blood in the pines, and the dogs just lit up. So hopefully they found her. They sound like they're hot on something. Get them, boys, get them. We already walked this whole area, But that hound dog is just going off. Hopefully you can hear it. I mean, the road is like several hundred yards that way. Okay, so I'm out here in this unforgiving wasteland out here where they logged. And I heard the dog bay that way. Aaron and Lance are over there. And I think I just heard, good dog, good dog. I'm so excited. But at the same time, I'm worn out because I don't have rubber boots. And I'm climbing over sticks and there's a lot of water here. But I'm very excited about seeing this deer. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I finally caught up with the Lance and Aaron. Lance went to go get his dogs, but Aaron's got a little story for us here that just happened in the last 10 minutes. Aaron, what we got, buddy?
We finally got a deer down that we can see. So yeah, the dogs jumped it. Lance actually saw it running.
Okay.
And by the way, he said it was running. He goes, I don't know. He goes, if they're going to be able to keep up with this thing. And then
really?
He got in the thick stuff. And he heard her once more. He goes, I think she's got it. And sure enough.
Was it the bloodhound or the white dog?
The lab.
The lab got it.
Labs, yep. One of the labs had it. And then the other ones knew when they heard that dog going at it. Off they went.
So I came across this chop here and I saw the short pines and I got up against the short pines. Was she bedded against the short pines?
She was bedded. No, he saw her. She jumped in the chop.
In the chop?
He saw her run into the pines and they tracked her all the way to right back in here.
Wow.
And
deer are amazing animals because I am out of breath and I know I'm not a deer, but I've been going across this chop and I am wore out. My knees are worn out, my ankles are wore out, and I've been going slow. And that deer, 5-6 hours later, still alive. And the dogs actually, dogs took care of it. So we got to drag it out. It is muddy here. It is thick here, but we're happy. We're happy we found it. And I know Mr. Aaron is happy he found it.
I am 100% just amazed at what these dogs did. It's just
what a good call.
Incredible.
What a good call of keeping us out of there so we didn't track it. Here come the heroes right now.
I can see why one dog may not.
Right.
You know, if you having this many with different types.
Okay, Lance, Aaron kind of gave his point of the story, but just real quick, explain why we came through this chop and we didn't find it, but then we found it on the second pass. What do you think happened? What do you think led to that?
The deer laid down the water ditch by the food plot, and that kind of clogged up the blood and stopped all that, which made Phoebe, the bloodhound, a little less interested. And the way it was thinking wasn't right to them, but they still trailed it out in this chop a pretty good way, but they kept coming back, and we couldn't find any blood. So to confirm that the dogs were taking us in the right spot, we went back and did a restart, and they confirmed. And I let them come on back in here, and I saw that.
And they followed the same trail.
Yes, same trail, and I saw that Mars was really intent on going. So I told him, I said, let's go one more time. It's worth taking a look at. They fanned out a little bit. Mars jumped him. I saw the deer get up and run, and they chased it down in here, and it got bogged down in those thick vines and stuff, and
wore itself out until they caught it.
Just ran out of gas, and they scooped it up from there.
All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what would 10 be in the hardest track? What would you consider this?
This is probably a 7.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crappy the way the scent went away. Hey, Kay, come on.
All
hey,
right.
That's the first deer that dog's ever seen.
We're going to let Lance tend to his dogs and kind of get the camera out of his face. So stay tuned. We're going to get this deer out. All right, guys, we're back at the weigh station. We're not going to show you the deer. It's in good shape. The dogs didn't really tear it up. So the deer's in good shape. Aaron's getting ready to weigh it and skin it, but we're not going to show that on our YouTube channel. We will get an interview about the actual hunt itself and how we got from a quiet morning hunt to calling the dogs. So the dogs were awesome, but I'll let Aaron tell the story.
So quick story. Had one deer under the feeder right at first light, which was 6 a.m. Feeder goes off, deer runs away. Then a couple minutes later, I had 6 of them kind of milling around, and that was maybe 6:20, 6:30. So I picked out one of the 3 of them were mature does. Picked one out, took the shot, and 4 of them left. 2 of them stayed and ate, surprisingly.
But you felt good about the shot, right?
Didn't have any reason not to. I've taken that shot 10 years in a row. No, 120 yards should be a chip shot for me, so I didn't see any reason not to. Had some good blood spots right away. After about 70 yards, just totally disappeared. And this was after, letting it sit for an hour. So backed out and decided it was time to call the dogs in.
Right. So now that we have the deer and you've seen the shot and the shot placement, what's your explanation for why the deer went 600 yards? Because that's what the tracker said, 600 yards from the site of the shot, right?
Yeah.
What's your explanation for why it went that far?
The best we can look at is it was that sweet spot between the heart and the lungs. The bullet went through and just didn't really mess anything up. Now the exit hole looks it's as big as your thumb, right? So you think blood would be coming out there because it's nice and low, but obviously something plugged it up. Like the guy said, it crossed water to get where it was at. He thinks it laid down, calmed itself down, all that blood flow stopped. So it's probably still going on one lung, which they can go a long ways.
Lance, when he first showed up, he had tracked a deer in another county this morning before he came to track this one, and they gave up on that one because that deer was still running with 3 legs. This deer actually was shot right above the heart and right under the lungs, which we're not going to show it, but if you were to look at it, you would say that's where you would want to shoot it. And the exit wound was bigger than the entrance, so the bullet mushroomed and did what it was supposed to do. So I don't have an explanation for why that deer was able to do that, but they are tough animals. We do everything we can to have to take shots when they're calm and take that good shot. But sometimes, even when you try to do everything absolutely right, these things happen. But Aaron made the right call. He called the dog tracker, and we did that from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I think. And you text me and said he went a mile, I think, total. Is that what you said?
I can't. No.
A mile total back and forth?
I think Rob texted that.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to we'll map it out on Google Earth and see how long that deer ran.
Yeah, I'll do a Google Earth thing like I did with my buck and just show how far the deer was. But the drag out was relatively easy. And then we had to cross a ditch to get it in the truck. But we're going to let Aaron clean this deer. Just wanted to get the story of the hunt, but I think this is going to make a good video.
And shout out to those dogs in the dog handlers and what they do. It was just, I've seen it on video and watched it 100 times, but to watch it in action and see what those dogs do, we would no way ever got that deer ourselves. No way, no how.
And what did Lance keep saying at the end? He said, trust the dogs.
Yep.
Because the very first time they went across that plot and we went into that thick stuff, and we all thought, I didn't really go over here. And we were kind of, at least me, I was kind of doubting that we were in the right place. And then you guys went back there and I stayed where you found the last blood.
And when he said they're on the same trail for the second time, he goes, that gives me confidence they're on the right trail. When they jumped the deer, Lance saw it and he said, that deer does not look hurt. He didn't have a good feeling because of how fast the deer was running. But if it's going on one lung and the dogs are on it, that deer just got wore out, couldn't go anymore, and the dogs caught up to it. And by the time we got there, it was done. So.
All right, well, we'll let you get to what you're doing here, and I'm going to get on home because my season ended Friday night.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
Hopefully you enjoyed coming along with me today on that deer tracking. That's the first time I've ever seen professional deer dog tracking. I've had kind of casual amateur dogs that have helped me out try to find a deer, but that's the first time I've seen it in action. Lance was calm. He let the dogs do his thing. I can't remember how many times he said, let's just sit here and let them do their thing. He wasn't looking for blood. He wasn't second guessing the dog. He was just looking at that GPS and just watching them and letting them do what comes natural to them. And as you saw, we had a bloodhound, and Aaron was like, I really hope the bloodhound finds this deer. The bloodhound did not find the deer. The lab found the deer, the black lab. So they work together as a team. They're very calm dogs. They don't run off. And yeah, it was just an amazing thing to watch. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It's free to subscribe. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, y'all.